When both you and the narcissist go silent, the environment doesn't settle into peace. It detonates because in that specific moment, someone finally loses grip on the situation, and it isn't you. Most people assume mutual silence indicates the story has reached its end, but the reality is far more jarring. This is precisely when the narcissist enters their true psychological spiral, and when your recovery actually begins. Stay with me, because what follows is the chapter no one prepares you for. If this is already hitting close to home, remain focused on this message. You must comprehend the psychological terrain you are currently navigating, because understanding this is the key to breaking the cycle forever. Let's look closer. When both you and the narcissist cease communication, the very first thing that occurs on their end is what I define as the recalibration phase. It is subtle, internal, and something most individuals fail to spot because it happens in the shadows, long before the narcissist ever makes a visible move. When you go quiet, you experience it as an emotional transition, a boundary, or a milestone toward health. However, the narcissist does not view your silence through that lens. They treat it as raw data. Your lack of feedback becomes a riddle they must crack, not a choice they respect. They begin to analyze how they lost their leverage, not how they caused you pain. Narcissists do not engage in self-reflection the way healthy people do. Instead, they calculate, did you get distracted? Are you trying to punish them? Has a new person entered your life? Are you merely testing them? They search for the angle, the hidden motive, or the potential threat. Your silence turns into a puzzle they are desperate to solve because unpredictability destabilizes their world. During this recalibration, they might not reach out at all. In reality, their stillness isn't indifference. It is a calculated strategy. They might monitor your digital activity, scan your social circles, or keep tabs on who is interacting with you. They are collecting intel, waiting for your next emotional slip. Narcissists believe that individuals they once dominated will inevitably return. Therefore, your silence is not viewed as finality. It is viewed as temporary defiance. This is why they do not spiral into a panic immediately. Instead, they wait, assuming you will eventually shatter the silence first, just as you have done in the past. They count on the habits they instilled in you, the guilt, the fear of tension, and the longing for peace. They expect you to cave. When you refuse to do so, their recalibration grows more frantic. They start to wonder if their power is actually evaporating, and that is when the threat feels real to them. Silence in their universe is never neutral. It is either an opening to re-establish control or a direct assault on their ego. The longer you remain silent, the more they feel the foundation shifting beneath them because your stillness breaks the power dynamic they relied upon. When both sides fall into this quiet, the emotional reality is fundamentally different for you than it is for the narcissist. This gap reveals a painful truth. You feel the grief, but they feel the inconvenience. When you stop reaching out, you are often hauling the entire weight of what occurred. You are navigating the emotional ruins, the shattered trust, the lingering questions, and the total mental burnout. You might feel sorrow, withdrawal, or deep confusion. You are mourning not just the connection, but the version of yourself that endured so much. Your silence is born from emotional exhaustion. You have hit a wall where your spirit and body can no longer sustain the chaos. You are attempting to reclaim your space, your pride, and your clarity. That internal battle is heavy, impacting your rest, your confidence, your memories, and your identity. Meanwhile, the narcissist does not view the silence through an emotional lens. They don't sit with the tragedy of the loss. They don't ponder where they went wrong or how they damaged you. Instead, their primary reaction is rooted in frustration. Your silence interrupts their routine, not their heart. They are accustomed to having total access to your attention, your outbursts, your apologies, and your labor. All of it fueled their sense of importance. When you go quiet, that flow of validation is abruptly severed. This doesn't shatter them emotionally, it simply bothers them. They experience the lack of supply the way a person experiences losing access to a utility they depend on. It is a glitch, a delay, and an annoyance. They aren't mourning a meaningful person. They are wondering why the faucet stopped running. Your suffering and their frustration exist in two entirely different psychological realms. You are healing a relationship while they are calculating their access. You are trying to rebuild your life while they are measuring how your silence dented their ego. You feel the void, they feel the interruption. As time moves forward, this distinction becomes even more apparent. You slowly start to realize how massive the emotional burden truly was and how much of your own voice you suppressed to keep things stable. They begin to wonder why something that used to work so effortlessly, your emotional reactivity, is suddenly failing to trigger. The imbalance becomes glaring. Your silence pushes you toward growth and introspection, while it pushes them toward irritation and entitlement. The emotional weight you carry is significant, while the discomfort they feel is tied only to losing the convenience of your submission. When both parties go silent, the narcissist does not see that quiet as a pause. They see it as a direct challenge to their authority, because silence from someone they once managed feels like a mutiny. The narcissist views every interaction through a lens of power, not partnership. So when you no longer respond and no longer offer them the fuel of your attention, it wrecks the psychological hierarchy they believed was permanent. They see your silence as an act of war, even if your goal was just to find peace. In their mind, silence is an insult and proof that their grip is failing. This is why silence hurts them more than any shouting match. Conflicts give them relevance. Reactivity gives them energy. Even your anger confirms that they still occupy a central place in your mind. But silence evicts them from the stage entirely. That removal threatens the fragile story they tell themselves. Your silence forces them to face the possibility that they are not as vital or as dominant as they imagined. Narcissists cannot handle uncertainty, and your lack of messaging creates a space they cannot dominate. Instead of respecting your boundary, they view it as a provocation. This is when their internal narrative becomes warped. They tell themselves you are being rude, unappreciative, or calculating. They assume your distance is a game designed to get a rise out of them. Their ego convinces them that your silence is a weapon, not a shield for your own protection. Some will become competitive, viewing the silence as a contest of wills they intend to win. Others will label it as a betrayal, convinced you abandoned them. Even if they spent years mistreating you, they will rewrite the story of your silence to keep their self-image intact. As this tension mounts, the narcissist's sense of security starts to crumble. Your silence becomes a mirror reflecting their own hollowness. Rather than facing that emptiness, they create new stories to regain superiority. They may assume you'll eventually break because you always have, or they may start planning ways to penalize you for drifting off script. In their world, silence is a threat because it suggests the one thing they cannot accept, that you are no longer under their spell. When both sides stop talking, something very different happens inside the narcissist than what happens inside you. For you, the quiet is room to breathe and process what you survived. But for the narcissist, your absence creates a psychological vacuum that forces them to face what they spend their whole lives running from, the loss of control. They don't think about healthy space or boundaries. They see your disengagement as a leak in the system that keeps their identity afloat. Narcissists don't have an internal sense of value. Their self-worth is a construction held together by the reactions of others. You were a pillar of that structure. Your feelings and your habit of returning after a fight confirmed their importance. When you go silent, you stop that cycle. That break forces them into a moment of exposure, making them realize how much they actually depend on your engagement, a fact they hate to admit. They built a world where they were the hero and you were the audience. Your silence suggests you have walked out of the theater. This destabilizes their managed identity. Without your reactions, they have nothing to manipulate and no proof of their power. This loss is a threat because it destroys the illusion of their significance. This is when they become restless. They might replay old tapes looking for clues they missed. They might worry someone else has replaced them. They start looking for ways to reclaim dominance, even if they haven't contacted you yet. The silence is louder for them because they are blind to your side of the story. That lack of insight robs them of the belief that they can forecast your moves. They are suddenly outside your life, not the center of it. That shift is psychologically unbearable for them. Their mind moves from arrogance to dread, from entitlement to paranoia. All of it is sparked by the simple fact of your absence. When both you and the narcissist retreat, it might look like nothing is happening on the surface. But internally, the narcissist begins a predictable series of behaviors meant to restore their power. One common path is the attempt to fill the hole you left through hoovering, baiting, or triangulation. These aren't random acts. They are the tools used when influence starts to fade. Hoovering starts when they realize your silence is not a phase. Initially, they assume you'll come back because that is what they programmed you to do. When you don't, they panic. Hoovering is the attempt to suck you back in, not out of love, but because losing you hurts their ego. They might send a checked-in text, share a memory, or invent a crisis. They may act sorry or suddenly kind. They pivot to whatever tone they think will work, because the goal is the restoration of control, not a genuine apology. If that fails, they move to baiting. This is meant to trigger any emotion at all. Narcissists don't care if you're happy or mad, as long as they are the reason. They might post something to make you jealous, or send a nasty message to make you defend yourself. Any response at all confirms they still matter. Silence takes away their power, so baiting is their way of poking at you to see if you'll still react. When those fail, they use triangulation. They bring in a third party to create a narrative where they are back in charge. They might show off a new partner or lie to friends to make you look like the villain. The goal is to make you feel discarded or insecure, hoping you'll rush back to prove your worth. These are not signs of affection. They are signs of addiction to supply. When you withdraw, they scramble to fix the leak. These behaviors are born of fear and ego, all triggered by your refusal to speak. As the silence continues, something massive happens. While you see the quiet as a path to peace, the narcissist sees it as a rising tide of anxiety. Your silence isn't calm to them, it is a loss of gravity. Because their identity depends on you, your lack of response triggers a survival alarm. Your quiet is their panic. They need external drama to feel alive. When you stop providing that energy, they start to feel an internal collapse. They cannot regulate themselves without someone to mirror them, and your silence takes that mirror away. They may try to act like it doesn't matter, pretending to be bored or relieved, but that is just a mask. As time goes on, the void becomes impossible to ignore. Without your attention, they feel small and invisible, their greatest fears. While you use the silence to find yourself, they use it to lose themselves. Your nervous system starts to heal from the constant stress. The mental fog disappears. You start to find clarity while they find chaos. They might start obsessing, inventing reasons why you've stopped engaging. They don't miss you, they miss the version of themselves they saw in your eyes. While your silence is a cure, theirs is a breakdown. You find your strength while they feel their fake identity slipping away. This difference shows that the quiet is what finally sets you free while it slowly dismantles them. When the silence becomes permanent, a shift happens inside you that is slow and profoundly relieving. Your nervous system, which has been stuck in a state of high alert, finally gets to stop waiting for the next hit. These relationships create a permanent state of tension where you learn to predict their every move. Your body is wired for conflict. When the silence starts, you won't relax right away. You might feel anxious or think the lack of fighting is a bad sign. That is just your biology reacting to the end of a long war. But as weeks pass, the clouds break. You notice your thoughts are yours again. Your sleep gets better. You find moments of peace you haven't known in years. This is your body recognizing that the threat is gone. This is where real recovery lives, the kind that doesn't need an apology from the person who hurt you. You are reclaiming the mental energy that used to be spent on their dramas. You are finding your ability to think for yourself and feel your own feelings without them being twisted. You are finally learning to live for your own values instead of walking on eggshells. This period of stillness eventually transitions from a state of survival into a state of deep psychological restructuring. As you maintain your distance, you begin to witness the final stage of the narcissist's internal collapse, which is the transition from frustration to a total loss of the narrative. Up until this point, the narcissist has convinced themselves that they are the protagonist of your life. They truly believe that your silence was just a temporary intermission in a play they were directing. But as the weeks turn into months, that illusion shatters. They are forced to confront the reality that they have been written out of your story entirely. This is a profound ego death for them because a narcissist cannot exist in a vacuum. They require a witness to their manufactured greatness. When you remain silent, you effectively stop being a witness. You become a ghost, and to a narcissist, being ignored by someone they once possessed is a form of psychological annihilation. They may attempt one final, massive escalation, a grand gesture, or a devastating smear campaign, but these are merely the thrashings of an identity that no longer has a foundation. While they are spiraling into this void, your internal landscape is undergoing a silent revolution. You start to notice that the internal monologue that used to be filled with their voice, their criticisms, their doubts, their expectations, is being replaced by your own. You begin to trust your own perception of reality again. This is the most dangerous stage for the narcissist, because once you trust your own eyes and ears, they lose their only weapon, gaslighting. Your silence becomes a fortress of clarity. You no longer feel the need to explain your side of the story or defend your character because you realize that their opinion of you was never based on who you are, but on what they needed you to be in that moment. The urge to check their social media or ask mutual friends about them begins to fade, replaced by a genuine curiosity about your own future. You are no longer defined by the trauma they inflicted, but by the peace you are cultivating in their absence. The true ending of the cycle isn't a final argument or a dramatic goodbye. It is the moment when the silence stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like home. You reach a point of emotional neutrality where the narcissist's actions, whether they are flourishing or failing, no longer trigger a physiological response in you. You have reclaimed your power not by winning a battle, but by walking off the battlefield entirely. The narcissist remains trapped in the same loop, searching for the next person to fill the void you left, forever chasing the validation they cannot provide for themselves. But you have exited the loop. You have realized that the silence was never a void to be feared. It was the soil in which your new life was waiting to grow. By choosing to stay quiet, you didn't just win the silence, you won yourself back. As the silence persists, you eventually reach the stage of radical indifference, which is the ultimate destination of your journey away from the narcissist. This is the phase where the narcissist's tactics no longer land because the emotional Velcro they used to attach themselves to your soul has been stripped away. In the beginning, your silence was a conscious effort, a wall you had to actively build and defend every single day. But now, that wall has turned into a natural boundary that requires no effort to maintain. The narcissist may still be lurking in the periphery or attempting to send indirect signals through others, but those signals no longer have a frequency your heart can tune into. You have reached a level of psychological immunity where their presence or absence is equally irrelevant to your well-being. This is the true meaning of moving on. It isn't about forgetting what happened, but about the memory losing its charge. You can look back at the chaos without your heart racing, and you can look forward without the fear that they will somehow sabotage your happiness. On the other side of this divide, the narcissist is often left in a state of permanent stagnation. Because they refuse to look inward, they are doomed to repeat the same patterns with new faces, forever running from the emptiness that your silence forced them to glimpse. They might reinvent themselves, find a new target, and project an image of total bliss to the world. but it is a hollow performance. Your silence served as the final evidence that their power was never inherent. It was a gift you gave them, and one you have now permanently revoked. While they are busy trying to prove their worth to an audience, you are busy living a life that doesn't require an audience to be valid. You start to find joy in the mundane, in the quiet mornings, and in the absence of drama. You realize that the energy you used to spend managing their fragile ego is now yours to invest in your own dreams, your own health, and your own relationships with people who are actually capable of reciprocity.